Hello!
And welcome
to
Nightmare
Nation,
where we talk about scary things.
The
scary histories associated with scary places where...
And paranormal things.
Yeah.
And
haunted places.
Ouija boards.
No, because we never do Ouija boards, but we want to talk about all the horrible things that happen after Ouija boards are used.
Yup.
So if that sounds like you should probably write into this podcast because we want to talk about all the paranormal freaky stuff that happens.
Tell us. Send it in. NightmareNation19@gmail.com.
Yeah, do it.
Did you catch that?
NightmareNation19@gmail.com. You know what? We should clarify. The 19 is not actually the written number 19. It's 19.
Oh.
So don't spell the word 19. I'm sure no one's doing that.
I've never thought of that. That'd be a really long email address.
That would be a really strange assumption to make, that 19 would be written as the actual word 19.
But, you know, there are some people out there that would just kind of perhaps do that.
That would be my husband. He has to interpret everything in the most, non-intuitive, nonsensical way possible. Can I tell you an example?
Yes.
We played Pictionary once.
Don't even get me started with frickin' board games.
Okay, but this wasn't with you. I don't remember who we were playing with. But so the word was I, not like eyeball, but I as a person, like me.
Okay.
And he draws a rat looking in a mirror. And the reason he drew this
I feel like you've told me this.
was because rats have metacognition.
What?
Which means rats are aware that they have their own distinct thoughts. Like, they can think like a human does, where we can have a monologue going in our head, and we're aware of the fact that we have thoughts about things that are distinct from other things. And rats are one of the few species that also have this. And so he wanted to demonstrate that a rat was able to look in the mirror and think that this was me, I, myself. And I'm like, what bizarre train of logic brought you to a rat having metacognition being equivalent to the word I?
That's so intense.
It was so intense.
Oh, man.
You're ridiculous.
So there's a new game that we need to try. It's not actually, you can't
Is it
buy it.
spooky?
No.
Oh.
It's fun. So we watched Mythical Morning with Rhett and Link, and they did...
What is Mythical Morning?
Good Mythical Morning.
What?
On YouTube. They have their own YouTube channel, and they just do all sorts of weird shit, and it's really funny.
I don't know what that is.
Well, we're gonna watch it sometime because it's friggin' hilarious. So last night's episode we watched, they played Sculptionary.
What?
So it's a game that they made up, and they were blindfolded with clay in front of them, and then they saw the word, and then while they were blindfolded, they had to sculpt whatever the word was, and then you had to guess it.
That
so
sounds
it's like Pictionary,
hilarious.
but sculpting.
Oh my god!
We need to do that.
Love this.
So that's our
so great
new game that we're gonna attempt.
Well, that sounds fun.
Yeah, so we're
Cool.
gonna play that.
You know what else is a great spooky board game that we love to play?
What?
Betrayal at House on the Hill.
Oh, I love that board game.
You guys,
go play it.
If you like haunted houses and you like games about playing, you play cooperatively, and then there's a twist where at some point there's a haunt that gets triggered and someone betrays you, and then you have to work together to defeat the betrayer. To beat.
Oh.
To beat the betrayer. It's a real fun game, yeah.
Making up words.
I don't know what that voice is, but it's cool. And it's happening.
It's fine.
It's a fun game, and it's so spooky.
It's so good.
It fits into our paranormal themed podcast.
Yes,
which
it does.
We haven't talked about anything paranormal yet. So,
all right,
let's
friends,
get on
here
track.
we go. Tonight we are
so excited
talking to you about the Enfield haunting.
Or possibly better known as the house at the center of the hit movie The Conjuring 2.
The Conjuring 2!
From 2016.
We thought we already did The Conjuring 1, so why not do number 2?
Yeah, and The Conjuring 3 comes out this year.
I just read that in an article today. I was like, wait, what? This is a real thing?
Losing my shit for this movie. I love everything. Even if some of the movies are bad, I love everything about this franchise. It's so good. There's such a lack of high quality horror movies.
There really is.
In the world.
They're just terrible.
Especially with paranormal stuff. I've seen some really decent slasher thriller type movies, but you need more good paranormal movies out there.
Yep.
And I think this franchise will make it happen, and I'm so excited. But anyway, so I didn't even know about the Enfield haunting until this movie. And it's so insane and fascinating, and I love it so much. So I can't wait to talk about it.
I still need to watch the second one because we started it
We
last
started
weekend
it, yes.
and got like 5 minutes in until everyone
we
showed
got to
up.
the part we got to the part where they finished the quick review of the Amityville haunting, which is like just like a little snippet in the beginning of the movie and has nothing to do with the actual plot of the movie. It's just like kind of setting the background for Ed and Lorraine Warren, and I'm like, this has nothing to do with Enfield.
Nope.
We have to watch it. It's so good.
Yes.
It's so good.
Yes.
You did see the freaky thing about the Crooked Man, though.
Yeah. They have a movie.
Called The Crooked Man?
Yeah.
I want to watch
read
it.
in one of the articles. I don't know if it's out yet or if it's coming out, but they said it was part of like the sequels of Annabelle, The Nun.
They're making a standalone movie?
That's what I read.
Oh my god, I'm
The
so
Crooked
excited.
Man.
I was disappointed by The Nun. The Crooked Man better be good. You guys, if you don't know this...
It came out in 2016.
What? But that's not from like... That's not part of the Conjuring franchise, though.
But they said it was a spin-off of... Like, it was in that realm of, like, The Nun. The Nun and Annabelle?
Really?
I don't remember.
Was it directed by James Wan? I feel like I would have known if there was another movie in the Conjuring series. We'll have to check that out.
Director Jesse Holland.
Oh.
Spin-off of the Conjuring franchise.
Oh, so maybe it was, like, directed by different people as just, like, a
been.
total side project and it wasn't part of the main franchise, I
Probably.
guess. Well, I want to watch
Well,
it.
because they have that little weird thing.
In the
Crooked
movie.
Man story.
Yeah. You guys, if you don't know the Crooked Man rhyme or like story, it is possibly the creepiest children's
It's so
poem. It's like a
creepy.
kid's song.
I don't like it.
And it's about a crooked man who walks a crooked mile and he finds a crooked sixpence upon a crooked stile.
Yes.
And then he finds like a crooked mouse and a crooked cat and they all live together in a little crooked house or something. And
Such crooked.
It's so creepy. Why is everything bent and crooked in this little creepy universe that he lives in?
Why not?
I don't know why.
September 10th. Initial release.
Oh, for the Conjuring 3?
Conjuring 3.
Oh,
We
that's
are going
so
to see
far
it in
from
theaters.
now.
We're
That's
actually
so far
going
from
to
now.
go see it.
Yeah.
You and I.
We can bring
The date right now, so put it on your calendar.
September 10th. And we're going to bring our little wine and juice boxes.
Yeah.
And it's going to be great.
We're going to shove it in our purse.
Great.
It's going to be awesome.
All right.
Okay.
So the Enfield haunting.
Enfield haunting, friends. So it is also known as the Enfield Poltergeist, because that's what it came up on the internet.
Oh, yeah.
When
Poltergeist.
I looked her up. So it happened between 1977 and 1979 in Brimsdown, Enfield, London, England.
So Enfield must be like a neighborhood of a city as part of a province or something. What do you have states in England? What is that? Is it a province, a state, a region, a prefecture? I don't actually know.
I read that on Wikipedia. I was
Oh.
like, how does that work?
I'm so sorry to everyone
so
in England.
confusing.
I'm so sorry. I don't know. I should know more about your geography.
It's very confusing.
All right.
So this haunting was involved the
Hodgson?
Hodgson. Ooh, that's really tough.
It looks like weirdly like Hogson on
Yeah.
paper, but then there's a D in there, and it's really
maybe
confusing.
the D is silent.
It's probably just Hogson. Probably not.
So correct us if we're wrong.
Yeah.
So it mainly affected two of the children. So Peggy is the mom, and she had 4 children, and it mainly affected 2 of them. So Margaret, who was 13, and Janet, who was 11. So it all kind of started in August of 1977 when Peggy called the police to her home in Enfield. She claimed that she witnessed furniture moving and 2 of her 4 children heard knocking sounds throughout the house. And I don't know why you would call the police for that. Like the knocking I could see, but
who
for
else do you
chair moving?
Call?
Ghostbusters!
Who are you gonna go? Do they have a hotline? Cause I
we should make
know.
one.
A Ghostbusters hotline?
Yes.
Let's do it.
Okay, we'll get all the stories then.
Set up a new phone number so it's not our private information. Call us.
That'd be perfect.
And then just show up and be like, oh, yep, you're haunted.
Yeah.
Like, okay.
Yeah. So, so then the police constable.
The constable
arrived.
This is so British.
I know.
We don't have constables in the States. What is that?
And she stated that she saw a chair wobble and slide, but couldn't determine the cause of the movement.
Freaky stuff.
Right? Like, oh, man, gonna get a paranormal call and then have this stuff happen. Like, that's kind of
Well,
odd.
and to your point, like, what is the police gonna do? They're gonna be like,
Right.
Yeah, I don't know how to... That's not in my jurisdiction.
Exactly.
Go talk to the spirit guides or something. I don't know. Like, what do you
Call
do?
up a psychic or something. Like, come on. So then when word broke out about the haunting and the phone call that she made to the police, it obviously attracted the local news media, including the Daily Mail and the Mirror. It was also investigated by a number of skeptics and paranormal investigators, including Maurice Grosse, I think, from the Society for Psychic Research, as well as Ed and Lorraine Warren,
Our
course.
favorite people on this goddamn planet.
But I found it difficult to find, like, their actual Ed and Lorraine's side of the story.
I was reading about that, and in the movie, it totally overstates their involvement in the case, I guess, because it sounds like, from what I read, that they basically showed up for, like, a day and just did, like, a quick little... I don't even know what conclusion exactly they came to. I mean, they said that there was definitely some sort of paranormal activity. Oh my God, I keep saying that. I need to stop referencing the freaking movie title. That phrase is forever ruined.
Yep.
But they basically weren't involved all that much, and the movie just kind of centers around as if they were part of the whole thing from start to finish. And I don't think they were, which is probably why there's not a lot of documentation on it. I mean, it sounds like really the hauntings just eventually kind of went away. And I mean, like you said, it only went from 1977 to 1979. I mean, 2 years is a lot, but it's shorter than a lot of the things that we've talked about.
Yeah, exactly. And so the only thing that I could really find on Ed and Lorraine, so there is a book called The Demonologist, The Extraordinary Career of Ed and Lorraine Warren, written by Gerard Brittle, where he says that Ed states that during the time in the Enfield house, there was a dangerous and threatening atmosphere, and they were able to capture different levitations, teleportations, and dematerializations of people and objects.
Does that mean they just, like, disappear?
That's what I'm thinking.
It sounds like a really sciencey way of saying they just vanished or disappeared. Teleportation. I didn't read anything about that.
Oh, really?
Yeah. Levitation, yes, but not teleportation.
Yeah, I don't know how that would
bizarre.
work. Right?
What?
Super weird.
Oh.
The
The Poltergeist, spoiler alert, is actually just a magician.
Probably.
Just a dead magician screwing with people, teleporting objects around.
I mean, if I was a ghost and was haunting somewhere, that is exactly what I would do, is I just move shit on people, and then I'd steal their keys and make them think that they're going crazy.
You're essentially just like a prankster. Yes. You're like a middle school 12-year-old.
Yeah. That'd be perfect. But then you can't see me, and it'd be great.
Sweet.
Yeah.
Make people go insane.
That's what's going to happen.
Wow, you sound kind of malicious.
Yeah, it happens. It's probably what I'm going to do.
Sorry.
Get back at all them bitches.
Sorry, not sorry.
So, some other kind of generalized things that happened. There really wasn't a lot of history on the family with, like, their background and anything, and not really a lot to do with the house either. So I don't really know how it came about to be haunted, because I guess there's a new family that's living in that house, and I wasn't able to find anything about, like, current hauntings.
So I read too, I don't know who's living there now, but there was a family that moved in after the Hodgsons? Yeah.
We'll just go with
that. Yeah, we'll go with that. There was a family that moved in after the Hodgsons, and they said that I think they only lived there for like 2 months. I may have made that number up. Yeah, because they also experienced like strange sounds and things that they couldn't explain, and then they left. So I also read that I think it was Janet and Margaret, the two that were at the center of most of the hauntings, that they had used a Ouija board.
Ouija board.
Ouija board.
A Ouija board.
I think they used a Ouija board shortly before everything started happening. So that could be how it all got started in the first place.
That would probably
and they
make
depict that in the movie too. They show them playing with a Ouija board, and then it all starts. Yeah, but to your point, there's not like a long
portal to hell.
Probably.
Stupid kids.
Yeah. Guys, more evidence as to why you should never use a Ouija board.
Exactly. Don't do it.
Don't do it. Not that I'm accusing anybody. I'm just saying if you get any ideas, this is just more evidence as to why you should not do that.
Exactly, because then you'll be haunted. So when it first started, I think it was Peggy called the news for them to come over and essentially like report on what was going on, do some sort of investigation. So the Daily Mirror went out to investigate, and they captured photos of Janet being lifted off the floor, as well as the BBC. They tried to catch an audio recording, but it ended up being twisted and unusable.
Like the tape?
Yeah, the tape that they recorded on.
Bummer.
Yeah.
Just coincidentally,
Yep. I mean, maybe the poltergeist got a hold of it and
Poltergeist
like twisted
was like,
shit.
no, you can't record my voice.
Exactly.
Get away.
Yep. So then the main investigators throughout the whole story, and the people who came up the most during the research, was Maurice Gross and Guy Lyon Playfair from the Society for Psychic Research. So they claimed that they witnessed one of the girls levitating and going from horizontal to vertical almost instantly.
Oh, whiplash.
I know.
Whoa.
Just like, I don't even know how you
just
would
like
do that.
whip out of bed or something.
Yeah.
Like when you jump up and you're really late for work, except times 5.
Yes.
Yeah.
It'd be fun. And they also saw furniture being thrown across the room.
That's like a pretty common theme, is just the moving furniture in general. And that's one of the ones where I feel like that's harder to debunk than a lot of the other things, because there's so much controversy around this case. Like any major high profile haunting, I mean, basically half the stories we've talked about.
Yep.
And I just feel like, how do you explain furniture moving?
You can't.
Like, unless you see someone like sitting down there and like pulling on a string, and like this is the 1970s. This
right,
is back
and
before.
It's also like large furniture.
Yeah,
that
heavy
you can't
stuff.
just pull with a little fish line.
Right.
Or something.
Right. Or someone would see someone like crouching around the corner with like a little piece of string, right? Unless everyone is lying. But I'm telling you, I have like 12 eyewitness accounts of shit that happened.
Right. Yeah, and so so the poltergeist was said to have taken over one of the girls and started communicating through them. And then Maurice claimed to have witnessed over 2,000 incidents of activity in the house.
I'm sorry, what? How long did this investigation last?
They were there for a while.
Oh, Jesus.
They were like the main investigators, and they stayed there like overnight and throughout weeks upon weeks to get evidence.
How do you make up 2,000 instances worth of activity?
That's a lot of different things to try and come up with and to lie about, and then to be able to keep those lies straight. Like that no, I don't think so. So those are just kind of like the generalized hauntings and a little bit of as much background as I can get. But with some of the hauntings, and we'll go through it, but they were claimed, like later on, they were claimed to be a hoax.
Yeah.
Like, as most hauntings, like you said, are. Because Janet, what I read, was caught on camera tampering with items throughout the house.
Yeah, she was like a sneaky little
11-year-old.
Shit. She's a shithead.
She really was.
Yep.
So she was caught bending spoons and attempting to bend an iron bar. Also, Gross observed Janet banging a broom handle on the ceiling and hiding his tape recorder. So probably just going around and moving shit.
Yep.
And then some people just claimed it to be overrated and characterized the girl's behavior as suspicious and staging some of the incidents. Which, I mean, you get an 11 and 13-year-old, they're obviously, if they have this much media coverage already and people are in their house, being 13 and 11, you're like, oh, this is super cool, let's do this and see what we can do.
Well, here's my theory on what probably happened, because there's so much skepticism around the case, right? Which, you know, to some degree is understandable. And yeah, they're like 11 and 13, they're like little mischievous girls. And what probably happened, in my opinion, is something freaky happened. They started having weird stuff, and then the more and more the media, because like eventually this was covered by like you said, like the newspapers and the news, and they had the police and everything, and they were put on TV shows and having interviews, and they were all of a sudden in the spotlight. It probably just like got to their heads where they're like, oh, this is so big and crazy, let's make it really extra spooky. And Janet has been interviewed a number of times, right? And, you know, she's been called out and basically being like, hey, you've been caught faking stuff. She says she only faked like 2% of it because, I mean, I don't know how you come up with the number 2%.
Right,
but
that's really
kind of specific. But she said that there came to a point where her and her sister Margaret just started trying to trick the investigators just to see if they could get away with it.
Yep.
So, like, obviously, probably not every single thing that was witnessed was real, but how do you have, like, 15 different people, eyewitnesses, say they've witnessed things, not like Janet poking the wall with a broom, but actually seen furniture move, seen things happen. It can't all be completely made up, right?
Exactly.
I'm sure a lot of it was exaggerated by the girls, but
right.
I don't know how.
But it was also, people have claimed that Janet that she was very attention seeking, and it was thought that she had been practicing ventriloquism.
Yeah, I read about that too. I actually have some of the audio that I'll play later, and we can decide whether or not we think it's ventriloquism. Because if it is, she should go into a freaking career of ventriloquism because, goddamn,
I haven't listened to that.
Scary.
I'm pretty excited.
It's freaky.
So yeah, and like Annie said, so Janet eventually came forward and said that she did tamper with some things, but other things she said that she had nothing to do with.
Right.
So,
which, again, I believe that. That's
absolutely.
True. That's probably true.
Yeah.
So, for some of the specifics on the paranormal thing, so there's kind of a lot, and some of it you already touched on a little bit. So, again, the first account was reported by Peggy. No, sorry. The first account was actually reported by Janet to her mother on August 30th of 1977 when she told her mom that her and her brother's beds were wobbling.
Oh.
So just kind of wiggling around in the bedroom on their own, which they do depict that in the movie. And after that, more than 30 witnesses have reported strange and paranormal incidents in the house.
That's a lot of people.
I don't know how that can possibly all be made up.
No.
Maybe it's 50% made up. I don't know. But it can't all be made up.
But you have so many people witnessing it, and
you have police.
Like with the Amityville. Yes, that's easy to be able to talk to each other and try and get stories straight.
Within the family, right? Within the family. No one else sees anything.
30 people, all of them different. You have media, you have the police, you have paranormal researchers, all sorts of different people coming in who probably never talk to each other.
But so some psychologists were kind of making the argument, and some of this is super far-stretched. They were talking about how like people have seen things moving and they're getting like hit in the face with objects, and they're like, well, there's such a thing as I forget, it was like peripheral awareness or something like that.
Not if you're getting hit in the face with an object.
Well,
you don't.
because people think that like the objects are materializing in thin air, and really what the psychologists are saying is that your brain sometimes doesn't register awareness of an object until it comes into like your specific field of view, and so it makes it appear like it's materializing in front of you out of nowhere, when really your brain just isn't registering the image.
Right. But then the image obviously comes into place when the thing is in front of you.
Well, they were trying to argue that it could have been someone like throwing objects and you just like didn't see it coming because I don't know. It's all is kind of BS to me.
Sorry, I love psychology, but there are some times when
we're both psych majors.
They just try to overstretch her a bit and try.
Well, it's the skeptic. It's not just psychology. It's just it's the people who are skeptical about the case trying to disprove it, which I get. I love a good debunking, and if you can prove it, fine. But at this point, it's all theories, right? And one of the other theories was that people, once you hear that there's a ghost, there's a poltergeist, people see what they expect to see.
Oh, absolutely.
It's like how your mind plays tricks on you at night after you watch a scary movie. You're expecting to see things or hear things, and your brain can interpret those signals and like make them into something that otherwise may have been nothing that you even noticed.
Oh, yeah.
So I could totally see that happening too. But again, 30 separate eyewitness accounts.
It's a little too many people in my book
it's a lot.
Be a hoax.
That's like
a witch hunt.
But that's like 22 people more than my like threshold of what I consider actually to be haunted, right? So like you've got a lot. So, okay, so after the initial event on August 30th, 1977, Peggy, like you said, who's the mother of the family, the next night on August 31st, she went into her children's bedroom, like you said, found a dresser moving by itself.
Fuck.
And she tried to push it back in place, like a couple different times. And then the third time, she wasn't able to move it, like, at all. It felt like it was completely stuck in place.
Holy shit.
Which is bizarre because, like, I guess I don't know how big the dresser was, but it was big enough to slide across the floor.
Right. I mean, if you have hardwood, dressers are pretty easy. It doesn't really matter how heavy they are.
And if it slid across the floor and then she was unable to put it back, it's not like the girls moving it and then it like they could, people have argued like, well, they could have moved it and then she came up and found it moving, and I'm like, well, first of all, it was moving while she was in the room. Second, how would an 11 and 13-year-old girl move it and then have her be completely unable to move it back to its spot? That makes no sense.
They're not that
as
strong.
A grown adult.
Sorry.
Yeah, so she freaked out. She actually fled the house and got the neighbor because after the dresser incident, she started hearing the knocking all over the place, right? And not just from, like, the door, from the ceiling, from the walls, all over the house.
Oh my gosh.
So I don't possibly know how that could have been Janet running around and banging on things.
Yeah, no.
From all over the freaking house while her mom is freaking out trying to figure out what's going on.
Right.
Yeah. So she went over and got Vic Nottingham, who's the neighbor. He claims that he also heard the knocking from all over the place, walls, bedrooms, ceiling, everywhere, and went all around the house looking for it, was super freaked out, didn't know what could possibly be causing the sound, so he was the one that called the police.
Oh, okay.
So then Carolyn Heaps, who, like you said, was the constable, she was the first person on the scene from the police department, and she did indeed witness a chair sliding across the room, and she's quoted as saying, "It came off the floor, maybe a half inch, I should say, and I saw it slide off to the right about 3.5 to 4 feet before it came to a rest."
Holy balls.
That's not like a little wiggle. That is a straight up slide feet across the floor.
Holy shit.
She actually signed an affidavit, like a legally binding document swearing on penalty of, I don't know, perjury, whatever it is when you lie after swearing an oath, that she saw the furniture move on its own. So that has got to be credible. If it's a police constable swearing before the law that that's what they saw. And she, of course, freaked out, didn't know how to handle the situation, and called the Daily Mirror. And I do want to point out,
Why?
I don't know. Yeah, that's her first instinct is to call the...
I'm so scared I'm going to call the media.
Call the newspaper. And that's the thing. So the Daily Mirror was a tabloid newspaper, and they apparently, like, didn't have a great reputation for being totally truthful. You know, they're, like, sensational media, like, gotcha
like
journalism.
Something.
Yeah, right. So, like, they didn't exactly have a credible reputation to begin with, and I think that's part of the reason why a lot of this story has been discredited by skeptics, because it was covered by, like, a not reputable newspaper. So I don't really know that was why the constable's first move was to call them, but she did. So then Graham Morris, who was a press photographer for the Daily Mirror, then came to the house. So he got dispatched to the Hodgson's house and describes his assignment there as, quote, life-changing.
Oh.
And because the paranormal encounters seemed to largely happen around the children, they started bringing the kids out of their rooms. Like, I guess they were all upstairs sleeping, and they started kind of bringing them out of their rooms and downstairs one by one. And while Janet was asleep in her mother's arms brought into the room, Morris claimed that things suddenly just took off, started flying around the room. I got hit by a Lego brick over my right eye.
Oh, no.
Whipped in the face.
Poor guy.
By a Lego. You think it hurts to step on one of those bad boys.
Wait till you get one in the face.
Wait till you get whipped in the face by a ghost.
Jeez.
So he apparently was like freaked. He was like, what the hell? This is bizarre. So he moved over to the corner of the room so he could kind of see the whole area. He wanted to make sure no one was like throwing things, which is what skeptics would argue happened. Yeah. And he says he could see everyone. He could see clearly that no one was doing anything. The objects were just moving on their own.
Good.
Yep. So Morris was also the one who apparently caught a photo of Janet, quote, levitating. So this one, I'm a little bit skeptical of. He wasn't in the room.
I think I know what one you're talking about.
Yeah. So we can post the picture on the Facebook. Yeah. It's a picture of Janet, and she kind of looks like... It could easily just have been her jumping out of the bed.
Yep, I know what you're
because there's like a couple of pictures, right? There's one of them where she looks like she's levitating out of nowhere and it's super creepy, but the picture that was taken right before that was her like in a position where she had clearly just like jumped, right?
Oh, yeah.
And he wasn't actually in the room when the picture was taken, so I don't know if it was like a motion sensor camera or what. But she's kind of like hovering in the midair, and they were arguing that she claimed that she had been levitated.
Yeah, that one's a little...
That one I'm a little iffy on. But then there's also firsthand account of a baker and I kind of chuckled when I read this, a lollipop lady.
The fuck is a lollipop?
I'm picturing like the lady from Harry Potter pushing anything from the Charlie's tea, like pushing a candy cart down the road. But... according to, I should say, okay, so I got a lot of information from Wikipedia, bbc.co.uk, and Hollery, Jesus Christ, historyversushollywood.com.
I have wikitelegraph.co.uk and features.sky.com.
What?
Don't ask where I found so Google gave me my information.
That's so random. But so there was this baker and friggin' lollipop lady, I guess.
Be a lollipop lady. That's what I strive to be.
What kind of job is that? I wonder what the benefits are like.
Maybe she's like the ice cream lady, but she sells lollipops.
I guess so. And like, I'm picturing like literally a dude in like a chef's hat and like apron carrying a loaf of bread and like a lady holding a lollipop because they're like a baker and a lollipop lady were walking down the street.
That's so weird.
They're like, I picture them as like cartoons in my head. But they apparently were walking by the house once when this was happening, and they supported and substantiated the claims of levitation because they looked up and saw her legitimately floating in midair as if she was being pushed up against the window.
Fuck that.
Yep. Yep.
No thanks.
Yep. So I don't know how credible those eyewitness accounts are.
Right. From the baker and the lollipop lady.
The pictures seem like lies to me. They seem fake. But
I agree.
This story, if it's true, is definitely creepy because they said she was literally just looked like she was about to get pushed out a window.
Fuck.
So, Maurice Gross, Maurice, the psychic.
I said Gross, I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know. The psychic who was from the Society for Psychical Research.
Psychical.
I had to like check my spelling on that word like 12 times because I'm like, that looks so weird, and I kept accidentally typing physical, which is not the right word. Psychical. So like you said, he was kind of one of the lead investigators at the Enfield House. Mm-hmm. And in an interview from the time of the investigation, he said, quote, "I have actually seen myself marbles being thrown about. I have seen the door moving without any help. I have also experienced the reduction of temperature."
Ooh.
He says it very scientific-like.
We got some cold spots. Ghosts.
So in November of 1977, during one of the sessions that he was leading, he was trying to talk to the spirit that everyone had kind of like seen, or not seen, but had experienced in the living room. That was one of kind of the hotbeds of the activity in the house from the poltergeist. And he was asking it, are you having a game with me? In this like super British accent. And he reported that after he asked the question, a cardboard box and pillow were thrown into his face.
Oh, good.
By an unseen force.
Oh.
I mean, at least it was
That's
a pillow.
uncomfortable.
I mean, it's a pillow.
Yeah, but a box.
Well,
it's got some sharp edges.
Cardboard.
Yeah.
You get cardboard cut on your forehead.
Hard edges.
Yeah, and also how like unsettling. You're just like talking, and all of a sudden, bam, you're whacked in the face. So, next is Roz Morris, who is a BBC radio reporter who covered the story. And they were holding these like nighttime vigils, I guess, where they were kind of staying up after the family went to sleep to see, I don't know if they were trying to like pray and keep the demons away or like try to see if they could get activity recorded. I'm not really sure what the intent of these were. Uh-huh. But she was hosting one of these vigils with Maurice, the psychic, and they heard a very loud crash upstairs in the Hodgson girls' bedroom. And they came upstairs and found a chair had been moved about 9 feet across the room.
Holy crap.
So this is one where, like, very easily a girl could have jumped up, picked up the chair, thrown it across the room, and crawled back in bed.
Oh, yeah.
Because they were like, well, we went upstairs and they were both in bed, so... I'm like, well, they could have done it and then jumped back in bed. Like, that's so easy to fake.
Exactly.
But Roz seemed to be convinced that it was real. And then possibly the creepiest part, and one of the most debated pieces of this whole story, is the possession of Janet, where she was speaking in a voice that seemed like wasn't her own. So there are numerous recordings of Janet speaking in a voice that is like completely mismatched from her. She's an 11-year-old girl. It sounds like this super gruff masculine voice.
Ooh.
It's creepy. It's what led to people talking about like whether or not she was practicing ventriloquism, or some people actually argued that she had some sort of like vocal cord defect. Because because the voice is that weird and ridiculous sounding. I'll play an audio clip of it in a minute. But she claimed, or at least when she was talking through the voice and apparently possessed, she was speaking as a man named Bill Wilkins. Mm-hmm. So the voice had identified itself saying through Janet, "Just before I died, I went blind, then I had a hemorrhage, and I fell asleep, and I died in a chair in the corner downstairs." So, Bill Wilkins is a real person.
Oh.
He lived in the house before the Hodgsons, and Bill's son Terry confirmed that he did actually die in a chair after having a hemorrhage, just like Janet described when she was possessed.
And back then, you don't have access to internet to know that stuff, and she's 11.
That's what I'm saying. Like unless she went to like the library and was like flipping through newspapers, but I don't know how on earth an 11-year-old, unless she was like super freaking smart and like resourceful or something, but you can't just like Google it and be like, oh, Bill Wilkins died like here.
You can now.
Right? So that one is super creepy to me. But the weird thing about this is that no one was ever supposedly allowed in the same room when Janet was talking as Bill. So the people had to like leave the room. And in the movie, they kind of depict it as they wanted to test to see if it was real. So in the movie, they made her like put a glass of water in her mouth to make it, to see if she could still like speak as the ghost while holding the water in her mouth. But then she gets all like shy, and apparently the spirit wants everyone to like turn around and look away. So in the movie, it's also like you can't actually see her face because everyone had to turn around and look away before the ghost would speak. So that's where some of the like claims of it all being fake kind of come from, because
that
you're
makes
like,
sense.
well, that's kind of suspicious, which I understand. But Maurice's son, so the psychic's son, Richard, was apparently a solicitor. A newly licensed solicitor. I don't know what that means, if it's some like English version of like a lawyer or something, because he was there actually on an assignment to interrogate the Enfield Poltergeist. And said that sometimes she would speak in this voice for like 2 or 3 hours at a time.
Oh, shit.
Because some people argued that Janet just had Tourette's and that she was like ticking and having these weird vocal abnormalities.
But not if you're speaking how do you do that for like sentences.
And for like 3 hours at a time. That's not how Tourette's works.
No, it's not.
So
it happens in like little spurts.
Yes.
That's ridiculous.
The last thing specifically that I found came from Janet herself, who said that one time a curtain wrapped itself around her neck so tightly she was worried she might be strangled to death.
Oh my.
And that's when she started to get really freaked out, because there's also some like interviews of Janet where apparently they're like asking like, how does it feel to be haunted? And she kind of like was like, oh, what? It's not haunted. And her sister's like, shut up. What are you saying? Like they have this like weird moment caught on camera where she like says it's not haunted, and then her sister Margaret tells her to like shut up under her breath or whatever.
Yeah. And
then she clarifies and says like, well, it's not a scary ghost, so it doesn't feel like we're being haunted. And you're like, what? That's kind of weird. But then she says that she was strangled by a curtain. So I don't know if that came after the interview or what. I don't really know.
There's a lot of conflicting things.
There's some controversy with this one. Yeah,
a lot.
So I want to play really quick some of the audio from the recordings, and I'm going to see if I can get to the good spot, because it's definitely creepy. And I don't know if an 11-year-old girl, unless she truly did have some sort of vocal cord anomaly, I don't know if an 11-year-old girl would be able to make these kinds of sounds.
Days before I died, I went blind. Then I had an hemorrhage, and I fell asleep, and I died in a chair in the corner downstairs.
I'm so uncomfortable right now.
Oh my gosh. I don't know how that could be an 11-year-old girl. I just don't understand. So that was Bill describing how he died. I fell asleep and died in the corner downstairs, or in a chair in the corner downstairs. And I'm like, I like, my face has goosebumps right now.
I have goosebumps all over my body. I'm so uncomfortable.
Yeah, it's really disturbing.
Like,
and
I can't do that. And
like,
it's so like it's so scratchy.
Yes.
Like how?
Yes. For hours. How could you do that for hours without having any sort of like lasting vocal cord damage? Like that would hurt your voice.
Yeah, it would. Oh,
so
that's
creepy.
so creepy. I don't like that.
I just want to know if it's real.
Gross.
Yeah.
That's so uncomfortable.
So uncomfortable.
Gosh.
So yeah, those are the main things. And then, I mean, in the movie, they kind of depict it as, of course, Ed and Lorraine Warren are the heroes who send the ghosts away and everything, and all is well. But apparently I think they had a priest come bless the house in like late 78, maybe 79. And they said that things kind of died down after that. It didn't go away completely, but they kind of died down. And then there was the family that moved in afterwards that experienced some minor activity, and they left after a couple months, and I couldn't really find anything else after that.
Yeah.
So, you guys let us know if you think it's real or not. That audio recording was kind of what did it for me.
That was really uncomfortable.
So creepy.
I don't like that.
I know.
So you should go watch Conjuring 2, friends.
Yes, it's such a good movie, you guys. If you like anything paranormal, scary, it's quite good.
Well, obviously you're listening to our podcast,
well,
so
yeah.
we probs do.
Yeah, but I feel like there's some people who are still super resistant to like scary movies.
I suppose.
Which you guys, I used to be that person.
She was.
Anna converted
Until I introduced her.
I was a horror movie, like, virgin, basically.
Pretty much.
And then we became friends.
I don't want to watch movies. They're too scary. I just get so scared.
And then they get so addictive. I did this to one of my friends in college, too. She was not wanting to watch scary movies, and I convinced her to watch one with me, and I can't remember what it was. And she was like, that was terrifying. Let's never do that again. And then I convinced her to watch a second one, and then after that, she was like, that wasn't so bad. And then by the next time, she was like, do you guys want to watch a scary movie? I was like, yes!
The best.
I have done my job. I've converted another.
Well, friends, I have a story.
I'm so excited.
Thank you, Mary from work again.
Thanks, Mary
for
from work.
giving me this story.
Yeah, I don't know this, so I'm excited to hear it.
Small, really short story.
But it's going to be good, I bet.
So we were talking about the podcast at work, and she had listened to the episode that we had talked about her and her child seeing
yes.
the little kid.
Asking about Tommy?
Johnny, I just made up
Yeah,
a
like,
name.
does he have blonde hair?
Yeah. That one. Yep. She's like, yeah, you got most of it, right? I was like, okay, good.
We're only shooting for like 75%
Yes.
accuracy with this, you guys. Like, don't take anything we say for truth here, including the stuff we research and write down. I'm not guaranteeing any level of accuracy here.
No.
I just think a good story.
So we were talking about Ouija boards because my other coworker Emily, she's like, yeah. So there was this one time my friends brought out a Ouija board, and I really didn't want to play it, so I brought out my
instincts.
She's like, I brought out my Bible. I was like, good choice, Emily. Good choice.
Just like splash some holy water on that Ouija board.
And I asked, I was like, did anybody get possessed? She's like, no. I was like, okay, it's probably because Jesus rained down and helped her out. So.
Gee, thank God for that Bible.
Yes,
oh my
exactly.
God.
So then Mary told me, she's like, yeah, so one time my dad, when he was a kid, decided that or maybe teenager, adult, whatever it was, was like, yeah, he wanted to use a Ouija board.
A Luigi board? A Luigi board? A Weggy board?
Oh. Anyways.
It never gets old.
I don't know. She didn't tell me what question he had asked or what it was, but all it spelt out was June 5th.
What?
It was like June 5th death.
Wait. Was there like a calendar on the Ouija board, or
No, it spelled out
what the
June 5th.
Oh
death.
my God!
Yes.
What?
Yep.
Did anything die on
so,
June 5th?
well, so this is the creepy part. Is she?
I'm gonna like pee my pants. I'm so scared.
So every June 5th, her dad just stays home because he doesn't know what's gonna happen.
Are you kidding? To
No.
this day?
Yeah.
However many years later?
Yep. Yep. And so she said that on June 5th, like 1 or 2 years later, I think it was, her brother got in a severe car accident and almost died.
Oh my God!
Yeah, she told me that. I was like, oh, shit. And so,
what the fuck?
And so she wasn't sure on the date because she's like, it's either June 5th or June 14th, one of those.
Oh my God!
And then she texts her mom just to like ask. And she verified it was June 5th. And then her mom texts back. She's like, is there something going on June 5th? And Mary's like, no, Mom, we're good.
Just some death, some
Right?
mild death,
Like,
maybe some near-death encounters. So maybe just stay in that night.
Yeah.
It's cool.
Yeah.
Oh my
Yep.
God.
So that's why you don't use Ouija boards, because it can predict your death.
Well, so then is it better to know then?
No.
Oh.
I wouldn't want to know.
I watched that new movie, Countdown, I want to say, with the app.
Ooh, yeah.
It was like, meh, it's decent. I wouldn't call it scary, but it's kind of Final Destination-y, which I always liked those movies. I thought they're kind of creative. So, but that's kind of the same thing where it's like, do you really want to know? Because then these people find out when they're going to die. And of course, then they try to do everything they can to like get around
Not
it.
die.
But the whole point is that like, you can't escape death. Death comes for you no matter what. And
exactly.
So I don't know if I want to like,
I would never want to know.
I don't want to know.
Nope.
I wouldn't want to know.
Nope.
I don't want some freaking Ouija board to tell me I just want to like die. I don't know.
Just not know.
I mean, I don't want to die.
No.
I didn't really finish my thought. I don't want to die. But, that is so freaking creepy.
So like just to have that and then live your life terrified of
I can't
June
believe
5th
every year.
Yeah. Yep.
Sit at home with like a little glass of whiskey and a shotgun.
I'd like sit
just
there
in
with my
case.
Bible and some holy water and priest, come over, please.
Do you like what they do in Annabelle Creation where they just rip pages out of the Bible and like paper mache them to the wall and just like line an entire closet with pages from the Bible?
And then just sit in that closet all day.
Yeah.
That'd be perfect.
Wow, that sounds fun.
That sounds so fun.
I love a good Bible closet.
Yes.
Every house should have one. Yeah.
So that's my story, friends.
That's a super good one that made me feel so like uncomfortable.
Never use Ouija boards.
Don't do it.
Because then they can predict your death.
Yep.
And then you'll be in a closet full of paper. Bible paper.
Holy paper. forever.
Yep. So don't. Ooh, you could have put a bathtub in there and bathe in holy water.
Oh, hell, that sounds expensive.
Yep. I mean, isn't holy water just water blessed by a priest? I should know.
I guess.
This.
Just keep going to church and like stealing a little bit every Sunday and just kind of collect
take a cup
it
from the little bowl they have there.
In the Nun movie, they use the literal blood of Jesus Christ. Because they find this little, like, holy relic that's, like, a little glass thing, and inside the glass ball, there's, like, a little teeny tiny vial with, like, 3 drops of the blood of Jesus Christ.
Oh, they did they?
Yeah.
Oh,
and it's super potent against the demons, I guess.
So.
She spits it in the demon's face. It's awesome.
Why would you drink Jesus's blood?
Well, she was, like, underwater, and the demon was, like, drowning her, so she cracked it open and, like, slurped some water in with the blood, and then spit it in the demon's face.
This sounds like a terrible movie.
It wasn't my favorite entry in the Conjuring universe. I was
so terrible.
I was so excited. Well, here's the freaking bummer, and the coolest part and the biggest bummer about that movie is the person they picked to play the main character is Vera Farmiga's little sister.
Oh.
She plays a woman like who's about to become a nun, and they go, and I don't want to like spoil the whole plot, but it would have been, and she looks so much like her sister.
That's so weird.
How freaking cool would it have been to be like, actually, it's Lorraine Warren, because it's her little sister that plays her younger self, and then she grows up to be a paranormal investigator or whatever.
Yeah.
Because she's a psychic, and she's like blessed with God from the gift to like see spirits, but no, she's just a completely unrelated character. Who, like,
it's so dumb.
It's so dumb. I'm like, why would you do the casting that way? You're just like making me disappointed for no reason.
Oh.
And the demon Valak is the nun or whatever, and it shows up, and I think it shows up in the first Conjuring movie, and it shows up a little bit in the second one.
Yep.
And those like 3 seconds of appearance,
so uncomfortable.
they're so scary that I felt like my
them.
expectations were so high for the nun then, and they just like fell down. Like those 5 seconds of appearance in the other movies was 10 times scarier than the whole nun movie. It was so sad.
It looks so good from the previews and everything.
Know.
Like, oh man, I gotta see this. And then you told me about it. I was like, oh, okay,
I mean, I think it's still worth watching. I would totally watch it with you. It's just that the pacing is so bad. It's just jump scare after jump scare after jump scare. And there's no like build up. It's just like bam from the moment they get there through the whole thing. And they're just trying like new hokey like thing after thing to try to scare you, and it's like I'm not even scared anymore because it's just constant,
right?
Like,
exactly, because you're expecting
there's
it
no
now.
like feeling of relief where you're like, okay, everything's gonna be good, and then they scare you. No, it's just constant. So I mean, I think it's still worth watching though. I would totally watch it with you.
Okay,
it's good. We have it. All right, so guys,
friends,
now that we've done our movie review section of the podcast, send in your stories.
We want to hear them.
Tell us if you've used a Ouija board and then never do it again.
Maybe you were part of a cult.
Yep.
Knew a serial killer.
Yeah.
Almost got killed by a serial killer.
Almost got killed in any way.
Yeah.
At all.
Tell us.
Or maybe you had some really creepy nightmares. I don't know.
Yeah.
I'll take anything at this point.
Or you had an out-of-body experience.
Oh, that'd be cool. Sleep paralysis? Yeah.
Don't worry, I have that,
Was
friends.
it a demon?
Maybe.
Or was it an incubus?
Incubus.
Oh, snap. Was it Bathsheba pinning you down to the couch because she's a whore?
Stupid whore.
Stupid
Going
Bathsheba.
Was it Jimmy's nuts?
Roger's junk.
Roger's junk.
Yep.
How rude.
So send them in to nightmare19@gmail.com.
What? Nightmare 19?
Whoa, Nightmare Nation.
Do not send it to Nightmare 19.
That will get hopefully a reply back telling you it's the incorrect email address. NightmareNation19@gmail.com.
Thank you. NightmareNation19@gmail is the correct email.
Yep. Check out the Facebook. Check out the Instagram.
Nightmare.nation19.
Correct.
Is the Insta.
We're gonna probably post some pictures from the Enfield haunting.
Yeah.
Maybe we'll post the picture of Janet levitating, quote unquote, and you can let us know what you think.
Let us know.
Yeah, check us out, follow us, leave us a review, rate, subscribe. Send in if you have any recommendations on places we should cover, let us know.
Just tell us everything.
Tell us all the
we
scary
know.
stuff.
We want to have fun things happen.
I want to be like sitting around a campfire telling ghost stories from all these like in-person experiences of crazy shit that's happened to people.
Exactly. That sounds fantastic.
Awesome. Yeah.
So do it, friends.
Do it.
Yep.
All right.
Until next
then,
time.
you know the deal.
Don't use Ouija boards.
Okay, bye.
Bye.